My phone buzzed in my lap during Sunday dinner. I almost ignored it. Almost. But something told me to check. The message was from my grandson, Malik. Grandma, don't react. They're recording you. Act normal. I'll explain later. I love you. I kept my face in a smile while my heart felt like it was trying to burst out of my chest. Recording me? Who? I glanced around the table at my son Darnell, his wife Crystal, and my brother Vincent. They were all chatting and laughing as if it were just another Sunday at my house. But now I noticed small details. Crystal's eyes kept flicking toward the corner of the dining room. Darnell refused to meet my gaze. And Vincent, my own brother, kept checking his watch as if he had somewhere else to go. I calmly lifted my fork to my mouth, even though everything inside me was crying out. This sweet potato casserole turned out perfect, I said, hearing my own voice as if it belonged to someone else. It really did, Mama Darnell responded. And for a brief moment, I saw something flicker across his face. Either guilt or just my imagination, now that Malik had planted that thought in my mind. I excused myself to the bathroom, my legs trembling so badly I thought I might fall. Once the door was locked, I looked at my phone again. There was another message from Malik. Check the smoke detector in your bedroom. There's a camera inside. Don't touch it. Just have a look. My hands were shaking now. Cameras inside my own home, the house I had lived in for 37 years. The same home where my late husband Jerome and I had raised our family. I stared at myself in the mirror above the sink. I was 68 years old. My hair was gray but neatly styled, just as always. My church dress still fit me well. My mind was as sharp as it had ever been. So why would anyone be recording me? Before we go on, please leave a comment if you've ever experienced something like this. We'd love to hear your story. And please subscribe to the channel to help us grow. When I returned to the table, everything appeared different. The way Crystal touched Darnell's arm as I sat down, the way Vincent leaned back in his chair, watching me, the fact that none of them seemed surprised when I knocked over my water glass while reaching for the breadbasket. Are you okay, Mama? Darnell asked, quickly standing up to help. I'm fine, baby. Just feeling clumsy today. But I wasn't clumsy. I had been reaching for that basket perfectly fine for 40 years at this very table. Someone had moved it 6 inches to the left. Someone was trying to make me trip or knock something over. The realization hit me sharply like cold water splashed on my face. They were trying to make me look confused, incapable. I managed to get through the rest of dinner on autopilot, saying all the right things, laughing at the right moments. Inside, I was piecing things together, and what I saw made my stomach turn. After everyone left, I went straight to my bedroom. The smoke detector was exactly where it had always been, on the ceiling near my closet. But when I pulled my reading chair closer and examined it carefully, I noticed it clearly. A tiny lens no larger than a pinhole was aimed directly at my bed. I sank heavily into that chair, feeling a rush of cold fear wash over me. How long had it been there? What had they seen? What had they heard? My phone vibrated again. Malik, can you come get me? Tell Dad you forgot something at my house. Malik lived with Darnell and Crystal. He had since his mother, Darnell's first wife, died when he was 7. 10 years of them raising him while I watched from the sidelines, always welcomed for Sunday dinners and holidays. Crystal kept them at a comfortable distance. I called Darnell. Honey, I think I left my good serving dish at your place. Can I swing by and pick it up now? Mama, it's almost Tatilnosay. I want to use it for church potluck tomorrow. It won't take but a minute, he said with a sigh. All right, doors are unlocked. 20 minutes later, I arrived at their house in Baldwin Hills. It's a lovely place with 5 bedrooms and a pool in the backyard. Darnell had done quite well in real estate development. I felt a glow of pride. Malik was waiting by the door. He quickly pulled me inside and led me to his room. As soon as the door closed behind us, my grandson, a tall basketball player and honor student, began to cry. I'm so sorry, Grandma. I should have told you sooner, he said through tears. I gently held his face in my hands. He resembled his grandfather so much that it tore at my heart. I could tell they were trying to make me think I'm losing my mind. Dad, Crystal, and Uncle Vincent had been planning this for months. His words tumbled out rapidly. They put cameras all over the house, inside smoke detectors, in lamps, even in picture frames. They've been recording everything. My legs felt weak and I sank onto his bed. Why? I managed to whisper. Your money, Grandma, all of it. The life insurance from Grandpa, the pension, your investments, the house. Dad said it's worth over $1 million and that it's being wasted on you. The room started to spin. Wasted on me? They want to take legal control. They've been editing the videos to make you look confused, forgetful, wandering around at night. Uncle Vincent plans to show them to a doctor he knows so they can declare you incompetent. I thought about all the strange things that have happened in recent months. My reading glasses kept going missing, then turning up in the refrigerator. I was sure I had left them on my nightstand. My keys were found in the bathroom cabinet. Photos had been moved around. Food I don't remember buying appeared. I whispered, they've been gaslighting me. The word felt rough in my mouth, but it described what was happening, things being moved around to make me believe I was forgetting. Malik nodded, tears running down his face. Crystal comes by when you're at church. She takes things, moves stuff around, then Dad asks you about it later, noting your confusion. I saw her one Sunday when I told him I was unwell. She didn't realize I was at home. How long have you known? 3 weeks. I found files on Dad's computer, videos, documents, a whole folder labeled incompetency evidence. There's also material from Uncle Vincent, a plan. After they gain power of attorney, they intend to sell your house and place you in some state facility in Riverside, the most affordable one they could find. My heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. Not just because of what they planned to do to me, though that was painful enough, but because my son, my only child, the boy I raised in church, the one I sent to college, who I helped start his first business, would discard his own mother like trash. As for the money, I already knew the answer. Dad keeps saying it's his inheritance anyway and that you're too old to need it. Crystal wants to renovate their house and get a place in Palm Springs. Uncle Vincent takes his share to make everything legal. I sat in my grandson's room in the house my money had helped purchase, and a wave of anger replaced the heartbreak. Pure hot anger rushed through me like I hadn't felt since they told me Jerome was gone. I looked at Malik and asked, what about you? Where do you fit into their plan? He looked down. They're sending me to military school in Arizona once I turn 18 because they won't need to worry about custody anymore. They've already chosen the place. Crystal says I'm too influenced by you, too attached. That was the last straw. They might come after me, but they wouldn't touch my grandbaby. I asked, do you have proof? Something I can use. And Malik reached under his bed and pulled out a laptop. Everything, he said. I downloaded it all, videos, documents, text messages between Dad and Uncle Vincent, even financial plans showing how they intend to split your money. He paused for a moment. There's more, Grandma, he added. Uncle Vincent had done this before for another client, an elderly woman named Mrs. Patterson. She later passed away in that facility. Her family tried to take legal action, but couldn't gather enough evidence. Mrs. Eleanor Patterson. I remember hearing about her death last year at church. She was a kind woman who used to sing in the choir. Her children had said she had declined quickly after moving to the care home. I felt a wave of nausea. I need you to send me everything, I told him, my voice calm but firm. All the files, and I want you to keep things normal. Can you do that? Yes, ma'am. He brushed his eyes. But Grandma, they plan to move her soon. I heard Dad tell Crystal they'd be filing the paperwork next month, right after his company's awards dinner. Awards dinner? Yeah, his firm is receiving a Family Values and Business Award, a big ceremony with many important guests. Dad is giving a speech about integrity and caring for family. Malik's voice was thick with anger. The whole event is false, but everyone believes in it. I stood up, my mind quickly racing. We have a month, just enough time. But enough for what? I looked at my grandson, the brave boy who had risked everything to warn me. Enough time to ensure they could never hurt you or anyone else again. I reached for the serving dish I thought I'd left behind. Actually, I pulled it from Crystal's cabinet and headed home. However, I didn't go to bed. I sat at my kitchen table with Malik's laptop and watched video after video of my own life, edited to make me look like a confused old woman losing her mind. There I was, supposedly wandering my house at night in confusion. But I recognized that nightgown. I had thrown it away weeks ago. Someone had taken it from my trash and put it back in my drawer to create this video. There I was, forgetting where I'd put my purse. Yet the timestamp showed it was filmed on a Tuesday morning. I attend Bible study every Tuesday morning. I wasn't even home then. And there I was, seemingly unable to work my own stove. But if you looked closely, and I did repeatedly, you could see someone had switched the on labels on the knobs. They had sabotaged my own stove to make me look confused. Every video was a lie, a carefully planned and calculated lie. I found the documents, legal papers already prepared, just waiting for signatures, emergency power of attorney forms, files for a place called Desert View Care Center. I looked it up. I saw it had a 1.3-star rating on Google. Complaints about neglect, abuse, and understaffing. One review mentioned that their mother had died there alone, covered in bed sores. That's where they wanted to send me, while they split my $135 million in assets and pretended to be a family with strong values. The sun was rising when I finally closed the laptop. I hadn't slept, but I had never felt more alert in my life. My phone rang. Darnell's morning voice greeted me. "Just checking on you, Mama." Crystal said, "You seemed a little off yesterday at dinner." I could hear it now. The insincere concern. The way he was already spinning his story. "I'm perfect, baby," I said softly, my voice sweet as pie. "Actually, I feel better than I have in years." After we finished talking, I made a list of what I needed to do. First, I needed a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, but one who specialized in elder abuse and fraud cases. Second, I had to document everything myself, creating a timeline that they couldn't tamper with. Next, I needed to find Mrs. Patterson's family. And the most important part, fourth on the list, I had to ensure that when I revealed these people's actions, I did it in a way they could never escape from. Not in some quiet courtroom or in a lawyer's office where they could hide behind legal technicalities. No, I was going to expose them in front of everyone who believed their perfect family image. During that awards dinner, in front of all those influential people, colleagues, clients, and business partners who thought my son was a man of integrity, I had plans to destroy their entire world. But first, I had to act in a way they expected. The confused old lady was worsening day by day. I needed to make them believe their scheme was working right up until the moment I turned the tables on them. I stared at myself in the hallway mirror, the same face I had yesterday, but everything else felt completely different now. I was no longer just a widow, mourning my Jerome and quietly waiting for what might come. I was a woman on a mission. My phone vibrated with another message from Malik. "Dad had told me to visit you more often this week. He wants me to record you on my phone just in case we need it for the doctors." I replied, "Okay, what should I do?" I smiled at my reflection. It was time to give them exactly what they anticipated. I typed back, "Bring that phone over, baby, and make sure it's charged. Grandma's about to put on a show they'll never forget." The next morning, I donned my oldest house dress and deliberately tousled my hair. When Malik arrived with his phone, I carefully made sure to give him the reactions he expected. "Malik, baby, when did you get here?" I asked, even though he had just walked in 30 seconds earlier. I could see the pain in his eyes, but he played along. "Just now, Grandma, remember? You called and asked me to come help you find your glasses." "Did I?" I touched my forehead as if I was confused. "I don't remember calling. Are you sure?" His phone was recording. Perfect. Over the following week, I played the role impeccably. I forgot appointments I had never scheduled. I placed orange juice in the cabinet and cereal in the fridge. I went to church wearing mismatched shoes. The entire congregation looked at me with pity, and that hurt more than anything Darnell was doing. These were my church family, people I had known for decades, and they watched me slip away right before their eyes. But Pastor Williams pulled me aside after the service. "Sister Dorothy," he said quietly, using my first name as he only did when something was serious. "I've known you for 23 years. You organized our entire building fund campaign last year. You kept track of every dollar, pledge, and contractor's bill. Now you want me to believe you can't remember what day Bible study is?" I looked at this man who had buried my Jerome, baptized Malik, and counseled my son through his divorce. Could I trust him? I whispered. "Pastor, I need help, but I need you to pretend you believe I might be slipping." "Can you do that?" His eyes grew sharp. "What's going on?" I replied, "Not here." "Can you come by my house tomorrow? Come to the back door and don't tell anyone." He nodded slowly. "Two eleritos." Perfect. That night, I did my real work. I'd found a lawyer through a friend of a friend, a sister named Vanessa Hunt, who specialized in elder abuse cases. She had agreed to meet me at her office downtown after her usual work hours. Her office was located on the third floor of a building on Crenshaw. It was a nice space, though not overly fancy. She looked younger than I had expected, probably around 45 years old, with her natural hair tied back in a bun and the sharpest eyes I had ever seen. "Mrs. Robinson," she said, giving my hand a firm shake, "show me what you've got." I opened Malik's laptop, and for the next 2 hours, Vanessa examined everything. Her expression grew more serious with each video, each document, each text message exchanged between my son and brother. Finally, she said, "This is one of the most carefully planned schemes I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot." She continued, "Knowing your brother is a licensed financial advisor makes this even worse. He has a fiduciary responsibility to his clients. If he's involved with Mrs. Patterson too, can we prove it?" I asked if she knew how to reach her family. "I know her daughter, Chanice," I replied. "We are Facebook friends." Vanessa smiled. "Then reach out to her. Tell her you're investigating similar cases. See if she is willing to have a talk. What about my son? What are the legal issues involved?" "Elder abuse, fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, and possibly extortion. If we can show that the videos were intentionally edited and staged to mislead doctors and courts, it could lead to serious felony charges. Your brother might lose his license and face criminal charges. If Mrs. Patterson's case is connected," she paused for a moment, "let's just say they chose the wrong grandmother to mess with. How soon can we act? I need to first file protective orders. We will ask for injunctions to prevent them from accessing your accounts or submitting any legal documents about your mental capacity. That process will take about a week. After that, we can build the criminal case. But Mrs. Robinson, this situation is going to turn ugly. Your son might end up in prison." I kept thinking about the videos they made of me, the facility they selected for me, and their plan to steal everything Jerome and I had built, then leave me to die alone. I replied, "Good. Let things become difficult." And when I arrived home, I reached out to Chanice Patterson. "Hello, dear. This is Dorothy Robinson from church. I hope you and your family are doing well. I have something important to talk to you about regarding your mother." "Can we have a conversation?" she answered quickly. "Mrs. Dorothy, yes. Please give me a call. I've been wanting to discuss Mama with someone." That evening, we spoke for 3 hours. Shanice shared everything with me. Everything with. She explained that her mother was sharp as ever until Vincent began helping manage her finances. Suddenly, there were worries about her mental health. Vincent brought in a doctor, the same doctor mentioned in Darnell's records, who, after just one 30-minute assessment, declared her mentally incompetent. They then moved her to Desert View Care Center. 6 months later, she passed away due to what was called complications from dementia. "But Mama didn't have dementia," Shanice said, tears streaming down her face. "We tried to fight it. We aimed to obtain medical records, but Vincent had power of attorney. He blocked every effort, sold her house within 2 weeks, closed her estate, and we couldn't prove anything was wrong." "Did your mother have cameras inside her house?" There was silence. "Then how did you find out? Because they're doing the same thing to me." I heard Shanice take a quick breath. "Mrs. Dorothy, after Mama passed away, we found a camera hidden in her smoke detector. At first, we thought the facility installed it to keep an eye on her. We never suspected Vincent. He arranged for it to be placed there, just as he helped put cameras in my house." "Do you have proof?" "I have everything: videos, documents, text messages, and I also have a lawyer." "Shanice, would you be willing to testify about what happened to your mother?" "Yes." Her voice was still now. "Yes, I would. For Mama and for you." The next day, Pastor Williams arrived at my back door right at 2. I showed him everything. This man of God, who often spoke about the importance of honoring your mother and father, sat at my kitchen table and watched my son plot to abandon me. Once it was finished, Pastor Williams took off his glasses and carefully cleaned them. He always did that when he was deep in thought. "Sister Dorothy," he finally said, "I've known Darnell since he was a baby. I've watched him grow up, marry Crystal, and start his own family. And I want you to know, if you need me to testify in court, I will be there. If you need the church's support, we will stand with you. What's happening isn't just wrong, it's evil. I need people to see what I'm about to do. I told him I plan to expose them at Darnell's awards dinner in front of everyone, but I must have trustworthy witnesses. People who know I'm not crazy and can confirm my story if they try to twist it later. Pastor Williams nodded in understanding. How many seats do you need? As many as you can arrange for me. Over the next 2 weeks, everything happened quickly. Vanessa filed emergency protective orders. A judge examined the evidence and felt so troubled that they immediately granted the requested relief, along with a restraining order preventing Darnell, Crystal, or Vincent from accessing my financial accounts or filing any legal papers regarding my mental capacity. But here's the thing, we kept everything secret. They didn't know. The restraining orders wouldn't be served until after the awards dinner because I wanted to make them confident. I wanted them to be relaxed, standing in front of all those people, thinking they had won. Meanwhile, I continued to act confused, repeatedly forgetting things and providing them with footage they believed would determine my fate. Darnell even brought Crystal over one afternoon with more paperwork. Mama, we just need you to sign these. It's only to make sure someone can help you with your finances if you need it, just in case. I looked at the power of attorney documents, the same ones I saw in Malik's files. I hesitated and said, I don't know, baby. Shouldn't I get a lawyer to review these? Mama, I am your lawyer. Well, Crystal is. She's been working in the state law for many years. We're just trying to protect your interest. Crystal placed her hand over mine, her nails freshly painted in a bright red shade. I wondered if my money had paid for them. We love you, Mom. We only want to ensure you're properly cared for. I felt the urge to pull my hand away and to shout at this woman who had been intruding into my home, moving my belongings and recording my life. Instead, I smiled calmly. Let me think about it, I said. My mind isn't so clear today. Of course, Mama, Darnell replied, and I saw him exchange a glance with Crystal, a look that seemed to say, soon. That evening, Mallet came over, and we added more to my evidence file. He had recorded the entire conversation on his phone, including Darnell and Crystal talking in the car afterward. Did you see her? Crystal's voice was unmistakable on the recording. She's worse than she was last week. Vincent says we can file next Friday, just 3 more days. The dinner is scheduled for Thursday night. Darnell suggested we wait until afterward. I prefer not to have anything disrupt the award ceremony. All right, but it will be early Friday morning. I've already arranged for the facility to be ready. We can have her moved over by the weekend. Malik was trembling when he played the recording for me. They're really going to go through with it. No, sweetheart, I said while holding his hands. They're not going to do it after all. The awards dinner took place at the Biltmore Hotel downtown. It was a black tie event with 500 attendees. Darnell's company, Robinson Development Group, was receiving the Family Values in Business Award from the Los Angeles Urban Chamber of Commerce. He was going to give a speech. There would be press photos. Everyone influential in black business in LA would be present. Vanessa managed to get me a seat at the main table, right next to where Darnell would be sitting. She also arranged seats for Pastor Williams, Chenise Patterson, and 3 other witnesses. She had also hired a videographer to record everything for the legal record. The night before the dinner, Malik came to stay with me. He told his parents he wanted to spend time with Grandma while he still could. They thought he meant before military school, but he actually meant before their entire world fell apart. We stayed up late reviewing everything, making sure we had every file, every video, and all the evidence collected. Around midnight, Malik asked, "Are you scared?" I admitted, terrified. He looked at me and said, "But you know what? I'm more afraid of doing nothing, of letting them do this to me and whoever comes next." He quoted his grandfather saying, "The only thing necessary for evil to succeed is for good people to do nothing." Grandpa was smart, truly wise. And he would have been so proud of you, sweetheart. What you did, telling me, gathering this evidence. You saved my life. Malik hugged me tight. I couldn't let them hurt you, Grandma. You're the only one who has ever truly loved me. That truly broke my heart. This child was living with parents who regarded him as a burden, planning to send him away whenever it suited them. After the day after tomorrow, I told him, "You're never going back to that house. No matter what happens, you are staying with me." I had already spoken to my lawyer about securing emergency custody. "Really?" I asked. "You're my grandson, my flesh and blood, and I will protect what is mine." Thursday night arrived. I dressed in my finest outfit, a navy blue dress suit that Jerome always loved, complemented by my good pearls and church shoes. I took time to do my hair and makeup carefully. When I looked in the mirror, I saw a woman prepared for whatever was to come. Pastor Williams picked me up at 6. He asked, "Are you ready for this, Sister Dorothy?" I responded, "More than ready." The Biltmore was stunning, glowing warmly and looking very elegant. Everywhere I looked, there were people dressed in fine clothes. I saw Darnell across the lobby with Crystal on his arm. She was wearing a dress that probably cost more than my entire pension. Darnell was dressed sharply in a tuxedo, smiling and shaking hands as if he owned the room. When he saw me, his smile flickered for just a brief moment. Then it was gone, replaced by a bright, insincere grin. "Mama, you made it." He walked over and kissed my cheek. "You look beautiful," I replied. "Wouldn't miss it, baby. I'm so proud of you." I noticed Vincent across the room, talking with another businessman. He nodded in my direction with the same fake smile. These people seemed confident they had already won. We took our seats, and I was seated at the main table, just as Vanessa had arranged. Darnell kept glancing at me, probably wondering how I got such a good seat, but he couldn't ask without appearing suspicious. Then dinner was served. Speeches were given, each focusing on integrity, family values, and giving back to the community. I kept smiling, even as my heart pounded in my chest. Finally, it was time for Darnell's award. He stepped onto the stage with Crystal smiling proudly from her seat. The presenter spoke about his achievements in business, his dedication to family, and his strong moral principles. Then Darnell took the stage. "Thank you all so much for this honor," he began. "Family values are not just words to me. They are the way I live my life. My mother showed me what that means. Dorothy Robinson, that's her right there. She taught me how to care for family, to prioritize them, and to always keep them safe." I stood up, and the room fell silent. People looked at me, probably expecting me to say something kind about my son. Instead, I walked toward the stage with Vanessa right behind me, accompanied by 2 security guards she hired and a police officer who had been briefed on the situation. "Mrs. Robinson," the presenter said, looking puzzled, "would you like to say something?" "Yes," I answered, my voice echoing through the microphone system. "I just want to say a few words about family values." Darnell's face turned pale. He saw Vanessa, saw the police officer, and saw the expression on my face. "Mama," he said, "maybe we should consider it." I continued, "My son has been talking to you all about family values, while he has been secretly planning for the past 6 months to have me declared incompetent, to steal my life savings, and to leave me in a facility with a 1-star rating. He has been secretly recording me in my own home, editing the videos to make me appear mentally ill, and plotting with his wife and my brother to commit elder abuse and fraud." The room became chaotic. People gasped, cameras flashed, and questions were shouted. "Mama, you're confused," Darnell began. I responded firmly, "I'm not confused." My voice was steady as I said, "I'm 68 years old, and my mind is perfectly clear. Clear enough to document everything you've done. Clear enough to download every file, every fake video, and every text message related to dividing my $135 million in assets. Clear enough to know you did the same thing to Mrs. Eleanor Patterson's daughter is here tonight to share her story." Shanice stood up, followed by Pastor Williams. All our witnesses then rose. Vanessa stepped forward. "I am Mrs. Robinson's lawyer. We have evidence of criminal conspiracy, elder abuse, and fraud. Protective orders are already in place. As of now, Darnell Robinson, Crystal Robinson, and Vincent Mitchell are being served with restraining orders and notices of criminal charges. 2 additional police officers entered from the sides of the room, approaching Darnell and Vincent. Crystal suddenly jumped up, trying to escape, but she didn't get far. Chaos erupted in the room. People recording with their phones, reporters rushing toward the scene, the award ceremony being completely disrupted. Darnell stood silently on the stage, holding his award, as his entire false life began to unravel. How did you? He started to ask. Malik, I simply said, your son, the one you were about to abandon next. I saw my grandson then, standing at the back of the room with tears streaming down his face. I opened my arms, and he ran to me, all 6 feet of him, and I held him tightly while his father was read his rights. You can't do this, Darnell was shouting now. As he was being handcuffed, I'm her son. I was trying to help her. You were trying to rob me, I replied. And the only person you succeeded in helping was yourself. The police took Darnell away, took Crystal, took Vincent. The whole room watched as 3 people, who had been celebrating family values, got arrested for destroying a family. Vanessa touched my arm. There's more to do. They'll likely post bail tonight. The criminal case will take months, but you have won, Dorothy. The restraining orders are in place until the trial. They can't touch you or your money. I've already filed for emergency custody of Melik. I looked at my grandson, this brave child who had saved us both. Then I said, let's go home. We left that hotel with cameras flashing and reporters shouting questions. We departed from a room full of people who had just learned that family values mean nothing if they are only words spoken on a stage. Pastor Williams drove us home, me, Malik, and Vanessa. When we entered my house, the house they had invaded with their cameras and schemes, it felt different. It felt like my home again. What happens now? Malik asked. Now we fight, I answered. They will try to make deals, attempt to portray me as vindictive or crazy. They'll hire expensive lawyers and drag this out. But we know the truth, and that truth will set us free. My phone began to ring. News stations, family members, church members, everyone who had seen the videos already going viral online. But I didn't answer any calls. Instead, I sat down at my kitchen table with my grandson and my lawyer, and together we planned for the battle ahead because this wasn't the end. Not by a long shot, and I was prepared for whatever might happen next. The following 72 hours felt like a whirlwind. The video from the awards dinner quickly spread online, gaining millions of views across every platform. My phone kept ringing nonstop. News vans showed up outside my house. The headline everywhere was Grandmother Exposes Elder Abuse Plot at Son's Award Ceremony. But while the internet was buzzing, I had to face real life. Darnell, Crystal, and Vincent all paid bail within a few hours. Their lawyer immediately started making calls, trying to negotiate. Vanessa blocked every attempt, saying, my client has nothing to say to your clients. See you in court. The emergency custody hearing for Malik was scheduled for Monday morning, giving Darnell's lawyers 3 days to try to prevent it. They tried everything they could. They filed motions claiming I was mentally unfit to care for a teenager and submitted an affidavit accusing me of being vindictive and manipulating Malik against his father. They even attempted to present their edited videos as evidence until Vanessa played the unedited full versions, clearly showing how each one had been staged and manipulated. The judge was a woman of about 50 named Honorable Patricia Reeves. She observed everything silently with a stern expression. Afterward, she turned to Darnell's lawyer. Counselor, are you seriously submitting falsified evidence of elder abuse to this court as proof that your client should keep custody of his minor child? The lawyer quickly backpedaled, almost losing his balance. Your Honor, we were not aware. Not aware that the videos were fake? The videos your client made and edited, the very videos that formed the basis of criminal charges against him? Judge Reeves looked at Malik, who was sitting beside me in his Sunday best, clutching my hand tightly. Young man, do you want to live with your grandmother? Malik responded calmly, more confidently than anything else. Yes, ma'am. Do you feel safe with her? She's the only person who has ever made me feel secure. Judge Reeves looked at Darnell. Mr. Robinson, you stood in front of 500 people and accepted an award for family values, all while secretly planning to harm your own mother and leave your son behind. I am granting Mrs. Robinson temporary full custody, pending the results of the criminal case. You are not to have any contact with your son except through supervised visits, and I am not likely to approve those unless he asks for them. She slammed her gavel. This case is now adjourned. Darnell tried to approach us in the hallway, but the bailiff stopped him. Sir, there is a restraining order. I watched my son's face fall apart. For a brief moment, I saw the little boy he used to be. The one who cried when he fell and scraped his knee, who hugged me tightly before starting school. But then I remembered the videos he'd made of me, the place he chose, and the text messages about splitting my money. I quietly said, "You did this to yourself." Then Malik and I began to walk away. The members of the church community gathered around us in a way I had never seen before. Sister Patricia organized a meal train, and for several weeks, dinner was delivered to us every night. Brother James, who owned a security company, installed a real security system in my home at no cost. Pastor Williams arranged a prayer vigil, and over 200 people came to support us. But it was what happened during Sunday service that truly touched me. Pastor Williams called me to the front during the time for testimonies. I hesitated. I was tired of being in the spotlight. Malik gently squeezed my hand and whispered, "Go on, Grandma. Tell them." With that encouragement, I walked up to the pulpit and looked out at faces I had known for many years. Some of them probably thought I was losing my mind. Others might have talked about me behind my back. Yet now, they were all there, gazing at me with kindness. I wanted to say thank you to everyone. I began to voice my concerns about the meals, prayers, and support. But I also want to share something else. What happened to me is happening to many elderly people across this country. Each year, billions of dollars are taken from senior citizens by those supposed to care for them. Family members, financial advisors, even lawyers and doctors. I saw people nodding and some wiping away tears. If you are caring for an aging parent, check on them thoroughly. Look into their finances, visit their home, ensure they are not being isolated or manipulated. And if you are the aging parent, I paused, feeling emotions rise. Don't be ashamed to ask for help. Don't let others make you feel like you're losing your mind when you know you aren't. Trust yourself, trust your instincts, and protect one another, I continued. Mrs. Eleanor Patterson died alone in a facility because no one believed her family when they said something was wrong. Her daughter Shanice is here today, and she wants to ensure that no one else suffers the same fate. Shanice stood up, tears flowing down her cheeks. My mama didn't die from dementia. She passed away from a broken heart because the people she trusted stole everything from her. Mrs. Dorothy is here to help us seek justice for Mama and for everyone else affected. Vincent Mitchell caused much harm. The entire church erupted in applause and supportive voices. Pastor Williams had to pause for a full minute before he could speak again. That week, 3 more former clients of Vincent came forward. All of them were elderly, sharing similar stories about sudden diagnoses of incompetency, quick transfers of power of attorney, and their assets being drained. Vanessa was gathering evidence that extended far beyond what happened to me. The district attorney's office got involved. This was no longer just a family disagreement. It was organized financial fraud targeting vulnerable seniors. Vincent's license was suspended while an investigation was underway. His company immediately terminated his employment. It became clear that when you are a financial advisor accused of systematically taking advantage of elderly clients, others do not want their reputation linked to yours. Darnell's business also suffered. Clients began withdrawing their accounts. The organization that had awarded him the recognition publicly withdrew it. His colleagues at Robinson Development Group held an emergency meeting and voted to remove him. It's clear it's difficult to run a business when everyone believes you might betray even your own family for financial gain. Crystal lost her position at her law firm. No one wants a lawyer involved in elder abuse, but she and her team continued to contest the charges. Their attorneys submitted numerous motions in an attempt to dismiss evidence and slow down the trial. They hoped to wait me out, thinking I might grow tired or frightened and agree to a plea deal. They underestimated me. The trial began in August, 4 months after the disastrous awards dinner. The courthouse was full every day. News cameras were present everywhere. Shanice and the families of the other victims were also there. My church members and took turns staying with me, ensuring I was never alone. The prosecution presented all the evidence. They showed the cameras they had installed, played the original, unedited videos alongside the versions Darnell and Vincent had edited, and displayed the text messages, financial plans, and the facility intake papers that had my name on them. Malik testified, saying, "My grandson sat in the witness box and told the truth about everything he saw and heard. He spoke about the military school, about being sent away so they wouldn't have to worry about his interference." The lawyer for Darnell tried to suggest that Malik was being influenced by me. That was a big mistake. The lawyer asked Malik, "Son, isn't it true that your grandmother has always spoiled you, given you money, bought you things, maybe made you feel loyal to her more than to your own parents?" Malik looked directly at him and answered, "My grandmother loved me. My parents felt ashamed of me." There's a difference. Objection, Darnell's lawyer interrupted. Overruled, the judge responded. Judge Reeves explained she was also the trial judge. The witness could continue. Malik said that my dad would tell people I was visiting relatives, even when I was right there in the house. Crystal told her friends she wished I would live with my grandmother full time because I caused too much trouble. The only time they paid attention to me was when they needed me to spy on Grandma. So no, sir, I am not being manipulated. I am telling the truth. The courtroom remained quiet. I noticed two jurors wiping their eyes. Shanice testified about her mother, explaining how Vincent had kept Mrs. Patterson separated from her family, controlling all communication, and eventually moved her to that facility where she passed away 6 months later. The medical examiner stated that Mrs. Patterson's autopsy showed no clear signs of dementia. Her brain was healthy for her age. "So what caused her death?" the prosecutor inquired. "Officially, pneumonia," I replied. "However, from my professional perspective, her passing was the result of neglect and hopelessness." Three other victims testified, each presenting a similar story. Vincent would earn their trust, express concern about their mental well-being, introduce his doctor friend, obtain power of attorney, liquidate their assets, and then transfer them to inexpensive care homes while keeping the difference. The defense argued that it was merely an aggressive form of estate planning and that Darnell's actions were intended solely to protect his inheritance. Their doctor tried to testify that my behavior in the videos clearly indicated cognitive decline. Then Vanessa brought in her own medical expert, a geriatric psychiatrist who had evaluated me thoroughly. "In your professional opinion, does Mrs. Robinson show any signs of dementia or cognitive impairment?" "Not at all. She scored in the 98th percentile on every cognitive test I administered. Her memory is excellent, her reasoning is clear, and she shows no signs of any neurological problem. Honestly, she's sharper than many people half her age." So how do you explain the videos? They are tricks. In each case, there are obvious signs of staging or editing. Items are moved to places where the person wouldn't normally put them. Timestamps don't match the actual timeline. In some scenes, you can see a hand reaching into the frame to move objects while Mrs. Robinson isn't looking. These videos do not prove cognitive decline. They are proof of deception. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The jury took 4 hours to reach a verdict. They found him guilty on all charges. Darnell faces charges of elder abuse, fraud, conspiracy, and attempted theft with a sentence of 15 years. Crystal is charged with conspiracy, fraud, and breaking and entering, facing 10 years in prison. Vincent faced accusations of elder abuse, fraud, professional misconduct, conspiracy, and a sentence of 25 years. He also faces the permanent revocation of his financial advisor license and a substantial fine to be distributed among those he's harmed. The doctor who blindly approved Vincent's declarations of incompetency lost his license and faced his own charges. When the verdicts were announced, I felt Malik gently take my hand. We sat together, this child I was caring for at 68 years old, and watched justice unfold. Darnell looked back at me from the defendant's table, tears in his eyes. "Mama, I'm sorry," he mouthed. I didn't respond. Some things can't be fixed with just an apology. Outside the courthouse, reporters hurried toward us, but Vanessa and Pastor Williams cleared a path, and we walked through with our heads held high. Someone yelled, "Mrs. Robinson, how do you feel?" I paused and looked into the camera. "I feel like justice has been served, not just for me, but for Mrs. Patterson and every other elder who has been harmed by those they trusted. If you are experiencing this situation, please speak out. There's no reason to feel ashamed. Do not let anyone silence your voice. You deserve better treatment. What about your son? I honestly pray for him. I pray he spends his time becoming a better man, but he has made his choices, and now he must live with them. Will you go see him in prison? That is a matter between me, him, and God. We returned home in Pastor William's car. When we arrived at my house, the same house they had tried to take from us, I saw balloons and a banner that read, "Welcome home," across the porch. Inside, the church ladies had prepared enough food to feed a large crowd. Sister Patricia had baked her famous peach cobbler, and Brother James brought his well-known ribs. Even people I hardly knew had come by to celebrate. "We are so proud of you," Sister Patricia said, hugging me tightly. "What you did, standing up like that, you gave a lot of people courage." That night, after everyone had left, it was just Malik and me in our house. He had moved into the guest room permanently now, decorating it with his basketball posters and his books to make it his own space. We sat on the back porch, watching the sunset and sipping sweet tea. I asked him, "Are you okay, baby?" He replied, "Yeah, I mean, it's strange. My dad's going to prison, but I also feel safe for the first time in years." I told him, "Then that's okay. You're allowed to feel both at the same time. Do you ever think he truly loved me?" I paused, trying to find the right words. I said, "I believe your father loves himself more than he's capable of loving anyone else, and that's likely more painful for him than for anyone else." I continued, "I don't want to be like him." He looked at me and said, "You won't be. You already proved that when you chose to tell the truth, even when it was hard. That's who you are, Malik. That's who you'll always be." He leaned his head on my shoulder, this almost grown child. I said, "Thanks for not giving up, Grandma." He responded, "Thanks for saving my life, baby." We sat quietly until the stars appeared, planning what came next. Malik would finish high school and then apply to colleges, possibly pursuing law, just as he had always talked about. I made sure he had everything he needed. The money Darnell had tried to steal would now fund Malik's education, his future, his dreams, and mine. I was determined to truly live, to travel, like Jerome and I had always planned, to volunteer with elder advocacy groups, to ensure that what happened to me and Mrs. Patterson never happened to anyone else, if I could prevent it. I was 68 years old and finally felt like I had my life back. Over the following year, incredible things unfolded. Vanessa and Shanice began a nonprofit called Elders Voice, which was focused on stopping financial abuse of seniors. I became a member of the board. We worked hard for stronger laws, improved oversight of financial advisors, and more support for families facing elder abuse. The story kept gaining media attention. I gave interviews, spoke at events, and testified before the state legislature. It turned out that my nightmare could serve to help others. Malik did very well. He earned straight A's, joined the debate team, and received a scholarship to UCLA. On the evening he received the news, we celebrated with his favorite meal, my fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, collard greens, and cornbread. Grandpa would be so proud. I told him he'd be proud of you too, Grandma. You've become kind of a hero now. I'm not a hero. I just refuse to be a victim. That's what makes you a hero. Darnell sent me letters from prison. I read the first few, but they all sounded alike. Excuses, justifications, complaints about how unfair everything was. Eventually, I stopped opening them. Maybe someday I would forgive him. But forgiveness didn't mean forgetting, and it didn't mean letting him back into our lives. Crystal divorced him while he was in prison. I heard she moved to Arizona after she was released, and she cut all contact with everyone from her old life. Good riddance. Vincent filed appeals, but lost every one of them. Last I heard, he was still trying to persuade others that he had done nothing wrong. Some people never seem to learn. One Sunday morning, exactly 2 years after the awards dinner, I stood in church and shared my testimony. The sanctuary was full. You see, it always was now. Our church had grown since the trial. Seeing justice served seemed to bring people closer together. 2 years ago, I truly believed my life was over. I thought I had lost everything, my son, my home, my dignity. But God had different plans. He blessed me with a grandson who was brave enough to speak the truth. I also had a church family that stood by my side, a lawyer who fought tirelessly for me, and he gave me a new beginning at life. I looked over and saw Malik sitting in the front row, wearing his UCLA sweatshirt, visiting home for the weekend. My grandson taught me that family isn't only about blood, it's about those who show up, who tell the truth even when it's difficult, and who protect you when you need it the most. Amen. The church responded together. And I realized that it's never too late to stand firm, never too late to speak out, never too late to say no. You don't deserve to be treated this way. Age doesn't weaken us. Our experience makes us stronger. People are now standing, raising their voices in agreement. So if you're going through a tough time, if someone is trying to take advantage of you, or if you feel alone, remember you are not. Speak up, stand your ground, find your community, and trust that God brought you this far to leave you now. The church responded with applause and praise. Pastor Williams had to lift his hand to quiet everyone down. Later that afternoon, Malik and I drove to the cemetery to visit Jerome's grave. We brought flowers, as we always do every month. "Hello, baby," I said softly, touching the marble headstone. "Our grandson got straight A's again, and we won. We really won. I wish you could have seen it, but maybe you did. Maybe he had been there all along, watching over us and giving me strength. I miss you every day," I continued. "But I am managing. We are managing." Malik wrapped his arm around me. "Grandpa would say, 'You are a fighter.' He would be right." We stood together in the warm sunshine, 3 generations of fighters. One has gone, one is old, and one is young, but all of us are connected through love and the determination not to be broken. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Shanice. She had just helped another family reveal a similar scam. "Your story gave them the courage to come forward," it said. "Thank you, Dorothy." I smiled. This was now my legacy. Not just surviving, but ensuring others could survive too. "Ready to go home, Grandma?" Malik asked. "Yes, sweetheart, let's head home." We drove back to my house, the house they had tried to take from me, the house I fought to keep, the house that is truly mine now, the house where my grandson is growing up protected, loved, and safe, the house filled with memories, hope, and a future. At 68 years old, I have learned something very important. They may try to break you, they can lie about you, they can scheme against you, but as long as you hold on to truth, courage, and people who love you, they cannot succeed. I had taken my life back, and I was determined to live it on my own terms, surrounded by genuine family, true love, and real justice. That evening, Malik prepared dinner. He had learned to cook by watching me. We ate together at the same kitchen table where I had first uncovered their betrayal, where I had planned my revenge, and where I had rebuilt my life. "What do you want to do tomorrow?" he asked. "Let's go to the beach," I replied. "It's supposed to be beautiful." "Sounds perfect," he said. And it truly was, because every day now felt special in its own way. Every day was a gift I had fought for and earned. Every day belonged to me. Thank you for listening. Remember to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments.